What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to be talking about my personal favorites of 2024. This is not a best of list, but it is just a culmination of the things that I reviewed over the last year that I just really enjoyed for one reason or another. Maybe it looks really cool. Maybe it sounds really awesome. Maybe it objectively performs very well. Maybe the price is right. Maybe the price is right along with the overall performance, and I consider it a great value. It could be any number of reasons, but this is just my personal list. If you feel like I've left something out in this video, let me know in the comment section below, but also tell me why you think it should have been included. If you'd like to see something reviewed by me for 2025, also let me know and I'll work on that and see what I can do. These are going to be in no particular order, and without much more ado, or without further hesitation, or whatever people say at that point, let's go ahead and kick this thing off. Starting off, we are going to talk about the WIM Amp and the WIM Amp Pro. So technically, I haven't reviewed the WIM Amp Pro, but I have it here. I've been using it. I've been listening to it. It's a really solid piece. The WIM Amp is currently on retail for about $240, and the WIM Amp Pro, I've seen it for $329 and $370, just depending on where you're looking at. What I really like about this thing is it's a nice integrated amplifier, 2-channel. It has phono input, HDMI ARC input. It gives about 60 watts at 8 ohm and then about 120 or 100 watts at 4 ohm. And it's a really nice little package. Makes it super easy to get into this hobby. So you can buy a more budget-friendly speaker, and then you can use the built-in equalization through the app. And that equalization will allow you to do both channels at the same time or split them up between left and right. And you have about 10 bands of parametric EQ, or you can switch it over to graphic EQ, though I do recommend using parametric EQ. And if you get a microphone that you can measure your in-room response, you can use that to really fix some of the issues in the room. And if you want to, you can alter the tonality of the speaker and give yourself an overall better pleasing sound that you like in your seated position. Next up would be the WIM Ultra Streamer. It retails for about $329. This is just a streamer, no built-in amplifier, but it's really cool. It's got a nice little display on the front, big round volume knob as well. And you can also use equalization through the app. And you have a lot of different inputs and outputs, such as, again, HDMI ARC. You have optical, you have phono, and then a couple others that you might find useful. I think this is a great all-in-one product that if you want to use external amplifiers to get a little bit louder with your system, you certainly can. I've been using it personally for like the last 3 or 4 months, and I haven't run into any issues with it at all. The Kali LP UNF is the first speaker on the list. $299, powered 2-way monitor, great for near-field monitoring, not necessarily good for far-field listening because they just don't get too incredibly loud. They're pretty linear, above about 200 hertz. They're within about a decibel or so from, or I should say a plus or minus a decibel or so from that point. Below that, they have a bass bump, which you may or may not like. They extend to about 50 hertz or so. I personally use a pair right here and a pair over here. So I've got 2 pair of these speakers that I use for my personal use, and I think they're pretty awesome. Next up on the list is one that you knew was coming, the KEF Blade 2 Meta. The best speaker that I've listened to so far, and I've heard a lot of different speakers. It's my personal favorite speaker, again, that I've heard so far. Doesn't mean it's still going to be that way in a year, but up to this point, I just think it's a fantastic sounding speaker. It does things that I've yet to hear another speaker do. The spaciousness, the staging, the tonality, the low frequency response, everything is there. The looks to me are really cool. They come in all sorts of different colors. Personally, I like this gray that you see here, but you may like a different color or you may not like the design at all. But this is my personal subjective favorite, and if I could afford it at $29,000 per pair, I certainly would. The MoFi SourcePoint 888, another fantastic speaker, runs about $5,000 per pair, comes in a couple different walnut, black, and white finishes. It looks pretty freaking awesome, especially paired up with an amplifier that I'm going to have on this list shortly. Great linearity, great frequency response depth. It gets down to about maybe 30, 35 hertz in room. You don't necessarily even need a subwoofer with this particular speaker. The Polk R700 runs about $2,200 per pair. I like this one because it's different. Now it extends to about maybe 40 hertz or so in room. Sensitivity is about 87.5 decibels, and it's one of the higher sensitivity speakers in this list. In fact, it may be the highest sensitivity speaker in this list. Really low distortion, at least compared to other products in its price class, and nice dynamic range. The only con about this speaker, at least in my opinion, is it sounds a little bit too narrow in the higher frequency. But you may find that that's useful for your room if it's a really reflective room and you can't use sidewall absorption. Now, I will say that this speaker does actually benefit from some sidewall absorption because at around 3 kilohertz or so, give or take, there's some flaring of that tweeter, and it tends to cause a little bit of brightness in the lower treble region. The Bucart A10. Now, this is a speaker that I left off of my top 5 of this year. And the reason I did is just because, subjectively speaking, it's a little bit more narrow in frequency response than I care for it to be. I would say it's about maybe plus or minus 40 to 50 degrees. But others may not care about that. And again, that's why these are subjective things. The thing that I really do like about this speaker is it's a bookshelf speaker and it gets down to about 30 hertz. Now, the reason it can do that is because it has DSP that basically flattens out the response at lower volume. As you increase the volume, there's a limiter that kicks in and lowers the low frequency extension. So, for example, now I'm not saying the speaker does this, but for example, if you have 30 hertz extension at about 75 decibels and you go to 80 decibels, you may have 40 hertz extension. And at 90 decibels, you may have maybe 45 hertz extension. That's used to protect the woofers from having too much distortion, too much excursion, potentially damaging them. But if you have a small to medium-sized room or you just don't tend to listen too loudly, this is an incredible all-in-one small package that gives you also some powered capability because you don't have to have an external amplifier. And for $4,100, I kind of feel like this is a speaker that should be on most people's radar. Next up is the Tekt Concerto Q Meta, retail for about $1,300. Nice little bookshelf, couple different colors and designs if you want to go with that. The thing I like about this speaker is I think it represents a very great value. Now, you may find that this speaker isn't bright enough for you. If you compare it to something like a Martin Logan, a Klipsch, or even a Focal speaker, a lot of those speakers tend to have a topped up top end or a tilted up top end where, in my opinion, those tend to sound just too bright, and I don't necessarily care for those. The KEF is a more linear speaker in the high frequency, but it does drop down a little bit. That combined with its constant directivity gives it a very nice, smooth, linear in-room response, but to some people they may call it dark because it is the complete opposite of a bright speaker. One benefit to this speaker is it has really good directivity, as well do the KEF Blade 2 Meta and the MoFi SourcePoint 888. Now really what this means is that you can equalize the speaker to your heart's content, and if you have a problem, for example, you want it to sound a little bit brighter, man, you could boost up that top end. If you want to do something to the mid-range to make it sound a little bit more hollow, you could do that as well. Now, I don't necessarily recommend doing that, but you can. With other speakers, most of the time, two-way non-coaxial speakers, you're going to have an issue with trying to equalize the response, especially around the crossover region where there's not really good integration, especially vertically. So you really get the vertical balance with a coaxial from the speakers that I mentioned previously. The Wharfedale Super Linton. If you've seen my review of the regular Linton, you know I really like that speaker. And the Wharfedale Super Linton, at least in my opinion, improves upon that. One major difference is that the Super Linton was designed to be placed closer to the wall thanks to its extended base shelf roll-off, which means that instead of having a nice kind of smooth contour roll-off like maybe other speakers do, this one tends to knee down a little bit quicker and roll off at a different rate. And that gives you the ability to place the speaker a little bit closer to the wall without a lot of excess boominess. I like the speaker's overall neutrality, and I do think it is a more accurate speaker than the previous version. Wide radiation at about plus or minus 70 degrees. Now, I call this wide because most speakers are around 50 to 60 degrees, and below 50, maybe 40 or below, I would consider that more narrow. So this speaker to me is a more wide radiating speaker all the way through pretty much the treble region. Next up is the Audio First Fidelia, a speaker that is in kit form and retails for about $1,300. Now, based on all the speakers that I've reviewed and measured and listened to in the past 3 or 4 years, I can tell you that at $1,300 in kit form, it rivals speakers that are $2,000 to $3,000 at least. You save a lot of money by building it yourself, but maybe you don't want to do that, and that's fine. Still, the speaker's objective performance and overall sound is incredible, at least to me. It has very linear response, one of the most linear speakers that I've seen so far. And it also has, what I like at least, is a wider radiation profile at about plus or minus 70 degrees. However, it does have rather low sensitivity at about, when I'm looking at spec here, 83.5 decibels. So it's not the lowest, but we're getting close to that. The Radiant Acoustics Clarity 6.2 retails for about $4,000. It has a nice linear response, but you need to tow it out a little bit. Maybe place it about 15 to 20 degrees. So the left speaker aimed at the left shoulder or maybe behind the left ear. And then the same thing for the right speaker. If you point the speaker directly at you, you're probably going to find that it sounds a little bit too bright, but some people may call that detailed or resolution. I tend to call a lifted top end a little bit bright, as I talked about previously. It gets down to about 45 hertz in room with an average sensitivity of around 84.3 decibels. Going back to the electronics, we've got the NAD C3050. This is a nice integrated amplifier, provides about 100 watts at 4 and 8 ohm, retails for about $1,300 or about $1,800 depending on which version you get. I would recommend the version that costs about $1,800 because that comes with Blue OS and it also comes with Direct Live that works up to about 500 hertz, which is really all you need because that's where the room is really problematic and you're correcting for the room's influence. Assuming you bought the speaker that you like, you really don't have to mess with the speaker, or at least in theory, you shouldn't have to mess with the speaker's response above about 500 hertz in most rooms. So that's where Direct Live really helps you out, gives you a better balanced overall sound. And frankly, I just like the way this thing looks. It's got a walnut finish, and it also has some VU meters on the front that I think are cool. It's just a nice vintage look. And like I hinted at earlier, it would work well with something like the MoFi SourcePoint 888, not just in power, but in overall aesthetics. Next up on the list is the March Audio Sointuva. That one's kind of hard to pronounce. Retails for about $4,100, comes from Australia. This is an extremely linear speaker. Kind of rivals the Kef Blade 2 Meta in its linearity. This thing gets to about 30 hertz without much fuss, but comes at a cost. So some of that cost is going to be a little bit of output, but really it's just going to be the sensitivity at around 81.5 decibels. So you're going to need a pretty strong amplifier to drive the speaker to most output levels if you're listening to these in a far-field environment, such as maybe like a typical living room or something like that. And to round out this list, one of my most beloved experiences was with this speaker of this year. It is the Tekt. Nope. Just kidding. All right, that's it for my list. I will talk to you all later. Please have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and Happy Holidays. Enjoy your time with your family. Eat a lot of trash food. And then on January 1st, get your butt into the gym where people can judge you, but you're going to ignore those people because you're doing right by yourself, getting healthy, living a long life, and enjoy your audio experiences a little bit more for a longer period of time. Talk to you all later. Take care. Peace.